Hi guys, so today I'm going to be doing a movie review on Casino Royale. Now before I do that, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and click that notification bell. It really helps you the algorithm. Casino Royale, since I'm on midterm break this week, I decided to review the five Daniel Craig James Bond movies. Yeah, to give me something to review over midterm. Yeah, as now I'm on midterm break for Halloween from school. Yeah, so I decided why not review the five Daniel Craig James Bond movies. Yeah, as I have watched them recently. Yep. Yeah, so I decided to review them. Yeah. Okay, so Casino Royale, this is the first movie in the Daniel Craig James Bond franchise. Um, yeah, and it was released in 2006, and it stars Daniel Craig as James Bond, if you want to call him 007. And um, and 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 yeah, and And yeah, now let's get into the plot of the movie. Yeah, so basically, it's a bit of a difficult plot to summarize, but I'll give it a go. Yeah, so the plot of Casino Royale is basically about James Bond has to try and stop the villain played by Mads Mikkelsen, and that's the best way I could describe the plot. Yeah, I know that might not be the best summarization of the plot, but it's the best way I can describe it because it is a bit of a difficult plot to summarize, to be honest. Yeah, so that's the best way I can summarize it. And that's basically the main plot of this film. Yeah. So what made me watch the Daniel Craig James Bond movies was one of my teachers watched them in school, and she recommended them to me. She said they were very good films, and I should watch them and review them. Yeah, so I thought why not get the box set on Blu-ray, as I didn't have it on DVD. Yeah, so you may know from my stuff I got out of my Chris's Money Today video that I did last year. Yeah, I got the Daniel Craig 5 James Bond 5 film collection on Blu-ray, as I couldn't get it on DVD out of my Chris's money. I decided to get it because one of my teachers recommended me to watch it and review it. Yeah, and it took me a while to get to them, but when the start of August came around, yeah, I was bored with my mom, so we had nothing to do, so we decided why not start watching the James Bond trilogy. Yeah, and we thought it was a good idea. So basically, we started watching the James Bond trilogy. We started with the first one, Casino Royale. Yeah, and um, basically we watched the movie. And what do I think of this movie? To be honest, guys, I didn't really like this movie that much. I thought it was just okay. It was pretty meh to me. Yeah, my mom didn't really like it either. She thought it was meh. It was okay. But to be honest, guys, this was a massive disappointment. I thought it was good. I thought it was me and my mom were really gonna enjoy this movie because of how good the reviews were and how much everyone was praising it. But but I don't know why. It just wasn't very good. It was a disappointment. Yep, didn't really like this movie, to be honest. Yeah, I just thought it was so bland and not very interesting at all. Yeah. I think my main problem with this movie has to be the storyline. The storyline is very, very weak. It's not interesting. It's very, very confusing. Yeah, I found it very hard to follow. Yeah, it was a very confusing storyline. Yeah, it was just very, very confusing and very, very hard to follow, and it wasn't very interesting either. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, it was very confusing. Yeah, it was a pretty bland story. I didn't find it interesting at all. Yep. Yeah, storyline was very weak. Yeah, it could have been better. Yeah, it just wasn't a good storyline. Yeah. And there's some good action scenes in this movie, I'll give it that. Yeah, there's one really good action scene where he's chasing a man in a construction site, James Bond is. Yeah, now that was quite a good action scene. I really enjoyed that action scene. That action scene had me on the edge of my seat for what was gonna happen. Yeah, I thought that action scene where he's chasing the man in the construction site was really good. Yeah, now I'll give it that. That was a fantastic action scene. I thought that was brilliant. Yeah. That was a great action scene. I enjoyed that one, and I enjoyed the action scene where he's chasing your man in the airport. That was a really good action scene. I'll give it that. Yeah, with the construction site scene. Yeah, yeah, and that scene had me on the edge of my seat as well. What was going to happen? Yeah, I'll give credit that those two action scenes were very good. Construction site and the airport scene was really good. Yeah, they were two good action scenes. I enjoyed them. Yeah. I think they were about the only two action scenes that I really enjoyed. The airport scene was good, but I prefer the construction site scene. To be honest, it was better. Yeah, yeah, but the rest of it, there was barely any action in this movie. I thought it was very slow. There was barely any action in it. Yeah, there was only one good car chase scene, but that was about it. Yeah, there was barely any action in this movie. Yeah, apart from the two scenes I just mentioned, there's barely any action in this movie. It's very slow. Yeah, and barely any stunts as well in it. Yeah, it's very slow. There's only a few good stunts. Yeah. I also found the movie very, very slow. The movie just dragged a lot. The movie is on for 2 hours and 24 minutes, but it felt longer. It just dragged and dragged and dragged. Yeah, it was just so slow. It dragged in a lot of areas. Yeah, this movie was so slow and boring. Yep, especially the scenes where they're in the casino. Those scenes were just so boring. I didn't find them interesting at all. Yeah, I just thought they were so slow and very boring and not interesting. Yep. So this movie has a lot of slow moments. Yeah, there could have been more action and stunts in those scenes. Yeah, but it was very slow in areas. Yep. They could have sped up the pacing a bit. So the pacing is definitely a big issue in this movie. It's very slow. Yeah, and I found it to be very long as well. Yeah, yeah. It's just very, very, very dragged and dragged. Like, yeah, yeah. The casino scenes is what kills it. They're very slow. Yeah, and the pacing kills it as well. Yeah, so it's really a big issue in this movie, the story and everything. Yeah, and the characters. I mean, I thought James Bond 007 was a pretty good character. He was very entertaining. I'll give credit to that. I enjoyed his character. I thought he was very entertaining. Um, yeah, I'll give credit. James Bond. Double O Seven character was very entertaining. I'll give credit. His character was good. Yeah, but every other character was just so boring. Like even his fiance, I did not once find her interesting. I thought she was so bland and very boring. Yeah, his fiance was so boring. Yeah, not once did I find her interesting. I just thought she was so boring. Yeah. Even the villain wasn't very good in this movie. I found the villain to be just very, very weak. He wasn't very interesting at all. Yep. Yeah, the villain in this movie was just very weak. He wasn't very interesting at all. Yep. Yeah, not once did I find him interesting. I thought he was very weak, the villain. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And every other character was just so weak. Even M in this movie was very weak as well. Yeah, and every other character was just so weak and not very interesting. The only good character that I'll give credit that I like is James Bond, but that's about it. Yeah, every other character was just so weak and not very interesting. Yeah, even M wasn't interesting. She was very weak in this movie. Yeah, so was his fiance. She was very weak. Yeah, yeah. So the characters are just meh to me, apart from James Bond. Yeah. The acting is not bad. I'll give it that. Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen, he's a bit weak in this movie. I thought his character was weak. That's all. And same with Judi Dench as Emma. I thought she was pretty weak. Her character was weak. But Daniel Craig was very good. I'll give it that. He was very good as James Bond 007. Yeah, he was very well acted. I thought his character was great. Yeah, I'll give it that. Give a credit to that. Daniel Craig was good, but Mads Mikkelsen and Judi Dench, they were just so weak. Their characters were just so weak in this movie. I did not once find them interesting. The only real actor I found interesting was Daniel Craig as James Bond 007. I thought his character was very good. Yep, I found him interesting. Yeah. So the acting is all right, I guess. Yeah. But I have to say the best part of this movie is the scenery. Oh my god, the scenery is just absolutely stunning. Yeah, there's some shots in the cinematography. My god, they look stunning. Yeah, this the scenery is absolutely stunning. Yeah, and the locations and everything are just absolutely stunning. Yeah, so the scenery is definitely the best part of this movie. It's absolutely stunning. Um, the shots and the locations and everything. My God, they look stunning. They're beautiful to look at. Yep, where it's set and everything. Yeah, it's just beautiful to look at. Yeah, and what else? And the music in the movie is quite catchy, I guess. I mean, I'll give credit. The opening was quite cool, and the opening song was very catchy. I'll give credit. It's by Alicia Keys. Um, yeah, it's by someone else. Yeah, I'll give credit. The opening scene was cool, and the opening song was very catchy. I'll give credit to that. Yeah, and the music in the movie was quite catchy. I'll give it that. Yeah, and the opening song was quite catchy. Yeah, and and um um and the humor in this movie is quite weak as well. Yep, I only laughed at a few jokes. That's about it. Yeah, and this movie stars Daniel Craig, Matt Mikkelsen, and Judi Dench. Yeah, Matt Mikkelsen plays the villain, and Judi Dench plays M, and Daniel Craig plays James Bond 007. And I'll give credit the love interest is quite sweet. I'll give it that. Yeah. I know a lot of people call this the best Daniel Craig James Bond movie, but that's totally fine if you like this movie and if you think that that's totally fine. I respect your opinion. Yeah, but I just don't like this movie. I just find it to be a very weak movie. But fair enough. If you think it's the best of the Daniel Craig James Bond trilogy, and if you like this movie, I respect your opinion. That's totally fine. But for me, it's just not for me. It's not horrible. It's just a very mediocre movie in my opinion. Yeah, it's very weak. Yeah, but if you like it, I respect your opinion. Yeah, and like, it's because I really wanted to like this movie because everyone praised it, but I just couldn't get into it. I just didn't really like it that much. Yeah. Yeah, the characters were very boring, and yeah. I think that's pretty much all I have to say. Yeah. So overall, I don't think this is a very good movie. Yep. So overall, Casino Royale is an okay movie to say the least. Yeah, it is. It is entertaining and enjoyable to say the least. Um, yeah. The storyline, it needed a better direction. It was just very boring, weak, and not very interesting at all. And it was very, very, very confusing in areas. Yeah, I found it very hard to follow. Yeah. The characters in the movie they were just very weak and not very interesting. I found them to be very boring. Yeah, the villain wasn't interesting, M wasn't interesting, and the fiance was very weak, and the other characters very weak. The only good character was James Bond, and that was about it. Yeah, so the characters in the movie were pretty weak. Yeah. And the acting was all right. I was saying Daniel Craig was very well acted. Mads Mikkelsen was quite boring. Same with Judi Dench, and yeah, the acting was all right. Yeah, the scenery is absolutely gorgeous. I'll give it that. Some shots in the cinematography and the locations look gorgeous. I'll give credit. The scenery is very nice. Yeah. There's barely any action in this movie. I felt there could have been a lot more action in the movie. Yeah, because there's very little action in it. The only good two best action scenes in the movie are the scene where he's chasing your man in the construction site. That was really good. And the scene where he's chasing your man in the airport, that was really good as well. And the car chase scene was pretty good, I guess. Yeah. So there could have been a lot more action in this movie, I felt. Yeah. And same with stunts. There was only a few good stunts, but that was about it. Barely any stunts in it, and very little stunts in it. There could have been more stunts in it as well. Yeah, the pacing really kills this movie. I have to say, it's so slow. It just drags and drags and drags. Yeah, the pacing is definitely a big problem in this movie with the story and everything. Yep, I felt the pacing could have been really sped up a bit. Yeah, and I found the movie very long as well. Yeah, and what else? Um, and I'll give credit. The opening was cool, and the opening song was quite catchy, and the music was quite catchy in it. Yeah, I'll give it that. Yeah, and 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 yeah, storyline isn't good. Yeah. And I was saying I found the scenes in the casino very boring. Not once did I find them interesting. I thought they were just so boring. Yep, they really killed the movie. Yeah. And same with the humor. There's barely any humor in this movie. I only laughed at a few jokes, but that was about it. Yeah, the humor was very weak. Yeah. And and yeah, I mean, yeah, this movie is enjoyable, but it's just very mediocre in my opinion. Yeah. And I'll give credit. It is a great first installment in the Daniel Craig James Bond trilogy. Yeah, I'll give it that. So overall, I'm gonna give Casino Royale a very low 7 out of 10. It gets a pass, just because it has some positive things in it. Yep. But it is not a good movie, and my God, it does not deserve an 8.0 rating. That puts it to shame. Yeah. But again, if you like this movie, that's totally fine. I respect your opinion. Yeah. But I'm not a fan of it. Yeah. But I really wanted to like it, as you know. Yeah. And that's basically my movie review on Casino Royale. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned. And stay tuned for my next movie review. I'm busy the next 2 days, so stay tuned for my next movie review, which is going to be on Thursday, and it's going to be a review on the sequel to Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace. So I have a lot to say about that movie. So stay tuned for that movie review. That'll be on Thursday. Yeah. But until then, guys, take care. Um, um, thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you in my next video, and goodbye. Peace.